What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee here, and this is episode 47 of the Wrestlebread podcast. Elimination Chamber was this past weekend, and I have to say it was a lot better than I expected. On paper, I felt as though some matches weren't going to be good. They ended up being good, and some matches that I thought were going to be good really didn't hold up its end. But overall, this was a good pay-per-view. It's just that the main event kind of sucked. It kind of reminded me, have you ever got on a roller coaster and it goes up the hill and you start anticipating of how that drop will feel, you know, the adrenaline rush, the excitement and everything, and then you get above the hill and it's just a little dip and that's the end of the ride? That's pretty much how Elimination Chamber kind of went. The beginning of Elimination Chamber ended up very well, and then the end just kind of fell off. So, I have to apologize to everyone on behalf of the real wrestling fans that live in Philadelphia who did not show up at Elimination Chamber last night because that crowd was so dead. I mean, the walkers from The Walking Dead was more alive than that crowd. Of course, they popped when Undertaker showed up, and they popped a little bit during the tag team Elimination Chamber, but other than that, that crowd was dead. That crowd at least could have made the show a heck of a lot better. And I'm normally the one to be like, oh, it's in Philly, you know, extreme capital of the world, you know, the psychotic Eagles fans and all that stuff. And it was just like none of that. It was basically the Philly fans that showed up with their kids, but I was definitely disappointed in that crowd, Sunday night, that showed up and basically rarely gave anything during that pay-per-view event. So I'm going to go through all the matches. I didn't really catch the pre-show, but I saw that it was the Viking Raiders versus Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. I don't know why I keep forgetting his name. I caught a little glimpse of it. I heard that it really wasn't the best of matches. Apparently, that it was basically subpar. Viking Raiders don't really deserve to be on the pre-show. I guess, you know, it's just one of those situations where WWE just don't know what to do with everyone. Unfortunately, if you're not in the top, 3 storylines, it's really not much that they have for you. But starting off the show was Daniel Bryan versus Drew Gulak. Now, I have to admit, Drew Gulak is from Philly. Love him for that. But I really didn't see this match being that good. And I felt that way because a lot of times, wrestlers aren't really given the green light to put on a really good match. A lot of times, they're not given a lot of creativity to really put on a good match. And I really didn't expect this match to be a good one, but I'm very happy that we were able to get this feud. A lot of people probably didn't expect this match to be as good and as technical as it turned out to be. A lot of people, we haven't seen really a technical match in a very long time. One of the technical matches that comes to my mind, not the last one, but a very good technical match that comes to mind was Bret Hart versus Owen Hart at WrestleMania 10. And having, you know, 2 technical wrestlers go at it with each other, I feel like it's something that's not really appreciated as much today, because today we get a lot of the spots, a lot of flipping, a lot of high risk maneuvers and everything, and not really a lot of technical, you know, grappling and reversals and everything, and to really appreciate the true art of wrestling. So I felt that I was hoping that this match really wouldn't be overlooked for how good of a performance both Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak put on. But this was a very good technical match. A lot of scary moments with Daniel Bryan hitting his head and his neck and everything. And the line gets blurred of if he is just selling it or if he's actually hurt. Because we all remember what he went through when he was actually injured way back, I believe before WrestleMania 31, where he had to retire due to a lot of head injuries. And we know that head injuries really plague WWE as of the past 20 years, I would have to say, definitely. But this was a good match. Drew Gulak passed out. He did not tap out, which I appreciated because this will continue the feud. Daniel Bryan showed his respect to Drew Gulak after the match as the fans was chanting for the yes. It was the yes movement. But this was a really good match, and I'm very happy that a match that was kind of underrated with everyone turned out to be a very good one. After that, we had Humberto versus Andrade. This was a good match, but not as good as a lot of their matches are. Unfortunately, sometimes there are matches where you want people to fight forever. For example, Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic is a feud where they can put on a series of matches and each match feels different. And unfortunately to me, Humberto versus Andrade is starting to plateau. It was a good match. They did a lot of high risk maneuvers and high flying, but towards the end of the match, there was a continuous series of near falls after near fall after near fall after near fall. And then finally Andrade pinned Humberto and grabbed the tights for the win. So it kind of made the match fall flat for me. Andrade wins this match and he retains his United States title. And of course, this means that the feud will continue, possibly into a fatal four-way between Rey Mysterio, Angel Garza, Andrade, and Humberto at WrestleMania. If not, definitely Raw after WrestleMania. But I think this is definitely going to be a WrestleMania match. But this match really fell flat for me. I wasn't as hype on it as I've been for their previous matches. Then after that, we had the tag team Elimination Chamber match. We had the Usos and the New Day starting. Then out comes the Lucha House Party. Then Lucha House Party, Miz and Morrison, Heavy Machinery, and then Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. Now this started out okay, I would have to say. It started off kind of tame. Of course, the New Day versus the Usos. They tend to pull out all the stops. Then the Lucha House Party came out, and that's when it really got crazy. Lince Dorado with his crazy moves. First of all, he climbed up to the top of one of the cells, and I noticed that the camera turned away from him, but everyone kept looking up to where he was, so I knew that there was a spot coming. What I didn't expect was when the camera panned out wide to show the whole cell, you see Lince Dorado climbing up to the top of the cage and starts climbing towards the middle of the cage. All of the competitors was in the middle, and then he does a shooting star press off the top of the cage, inside the cage, I need to point out, onto everyone below, which could have ended very badly because he didn't exactly land directly on top of people. He kind of landed on a couple of people, then he landed on his feet. And I have to give immediate props to Lince Dorado for doing that. But from there, that's when the elimination started to happen. We had the Lucha House Party, who was eliminated by Heavy Machinery. And then we had the brief encounter between Otis and Dolph Ziggler. As Dolph Ziggler was standing near the cell, Otis went to truck him, but Dolph Ziggler moved out of the way, which caused Otis to run through the cell and break through the glass to the other side. Now, it wasn't actual glass. It didn't break. It kind of just gave way, and Otis landed to the outside, and he was eventually taken out. But we had the Heavy Machinery was then taken out by Roode and Ziggler. After that, we had Robert Roode and Ziggler eliminated by the Usos. After that, we had the New Day eliminated by Miz and Morrison. And then in the end, the Miz and Morrison retained their titles, which I kind of expected. And then continue on with their title reign. Don't know exactly where this is going to lead up. If this is going to lead into some type of multi-tag team match for their titles or what. It really doesn't really show where they're going to go with this. After that, we had AJ Styles versus Aleister Black. This is the true first time they're facing each other. Although the last time Aleister Black faced AJ Styles, he kind of ran through the rest of the OC as well. Now, this was a no disqualification match, anything goes. And the confusing part for me was that Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson were standing to the outside of the ring and didn't interfere in the match for at least 10 minutes, which from a heel standpoint doesn't really make much sense. If you're being told that there's no disqualification, anything goes, I'm hopping in that ring, as soon as the bell rings. But I'm going to guess the storyline with this is that they wanted to stand back and let AJ Styles kind of wrestle the match on his own, but still, it didn't really make any sense if they're heels that they just stand around and just watch Aleister Black get some offense in on AJ Styles. Now, this match wasn't as good as I thought it would be. The crowd definitely killed the match, cause they were dead. There was some chance of Undertaker, of course. But then we got the kendo sticks, we got tables, we had chairs, kind of turned into a hardcore match almost. But still, the match really wasn't as good as it should have been. Of course, later on in the match, the OC then got into the ring and started attacking Aleister Black. And then we hear the gong, and then the crowd came to life. It was almost as if someone was dying on the table, and they went and they got a defibrillator to bring them back to life. It was just that shock of energy that pops, brings the crowd back to life, because that was the loudest that crowd was all night. And the Undertaker shows up, choking Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. AJ Styles went to do his phenomenal forearm. Undertaker catches him, choke slams him, lights go out, comes back up, and the Undertaker was gone. And AJ Styles was laid out. Very good ending for all of us Undertaker fans. I knew that Undertaker was going to show up. But overall, the match was kind of disappointing. I thought that AJ Styles and Aleister Black would be the match of the night, and I just didn't understand what held it back, truthfully. But I was kind of shocked that this match ended the way it did. After that, we had Seth Rollins and Murphy versus the Street Profits. This was the point where I ran off to go eat and stuff. And so I didn't really catch the beginning part of this match. But it didn't look like AOP interfered in this match. I believe they had stayed into the back. But towards the end of the match, we had Kevin Owens, who came out through the crowd, Dean Ambrose style, walks down, and he sits near, I think it was the Spanish announcer's table. And I don't know if anyone caught on to this, but there was a woman, I think it was a woman, in all black, but I think had a hat on backwards, who was yelling and screaming at Kevin Owens, one of the crazy people. And Seth Rollins got hit, and she was like, "Get up, Seth, get up." And just, I don't know what she was saying to Kevin Owens. It seems like she was kind of cursing him out or something. But that kind of caught my ear during that little segment. But Kevin Owens came out with popcorn, was eating the popcorn, distracted Seth Rollins, and the Street Profits attacked Seth Rollins and then grabbed Murphy, flung him up against the barricade, got him back in the ring, and that's when Montez Ford went and did his frog splash from heaven. Frog splash from heaven. And 1, 2, 3, the Street Profits retained their titles. Afterwards, Kevin Owens went and gave Seth Rollins a stunner, dumped popcorn on Murphy, and walked into the back. So I don't know why Kevin Owens came out through the crowd as if he was suspended or something, or was banned from ringside. So, I mean, I get it because they wanted to introduce the popcorn aspect to the match or to this feud because they used it again in Raw. But I don't know, maybe they could have done something better. But that part really didn't make sense for me. The crowd kind of popped a little bit too for Kevin Owens as well. After that, a match that pretty much everyone kind of forgot. Braun Strowman versus Sami Zayn, Nakamura, and Cesaro, a 3-on-1 handicap match. I actually went with Braun Strowman on this one. I thought that, he would somehow overcome them or overcome Sami, Nakamura, and Cesaro. Maybe Sami Zayn does something to cause the team to lose. But the shocker of the life, Sami Zayn won, got the pin, and is now the Intercontinental Champion. And another shocker, something I didn't even realize, is that this is Sami Zayn's first singles title. I didn't fact check that, but it looks like this is his first singles title, which is shocking, a bit disappointing, of course, because Sami Zayn was very good and very popular and was booked very well back in NXT, and it's just sad that it took all this time for him to get his first singles title. I mean, Braun Strowman got a singles title in less time than Sami Zayn. So it's kind of a shocker to me and probably to a lot of people too that Sami Zayn actually won the title. But kudos to him. I don't know what this means going forward. I have a feeling deep down that this will not be a long title reign, that Braun Strowman may get this title back in a short period of time. But I'm very happy to see Sami Zayn winning a title finally. So then we come to the main event, the Women's Elimination Chamber for the number one contendership of the Women's Raw Championship. Whoever wins this Elimination Chamber will face Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Everyone and their mama knew that Shayna Baszler was going to win. It was a matter of how she was going to win. So, very disappointing. First of all, this match started all out with Ruby Riott and Natty. And then third was Sarah Baszler. Then after that was Sarah Logan. And then after that was Shayna Baszler, Liv Morgan, and then Asuka as the last competitor to come out to the Elimination Chamber. This was booked pretty much Brock Lesnar-esque. Now, my buddy Julian from the Wrestling Court podcast mentioned that Paul Heyman had actually pitched back in the day for CM Punk to kind of tap out everyone in an Elimination Chamber match and it kind of be a squash match. And Vince didn't like the idea, but they decided to do it now with Shayna Baszler. I was fine with Shayna Baszler winning. It was the fact that it was basically a squash match. And what I feel is a waste of an Elimination Chamber match. This Elimination Chamber match could have went for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Heck, they could have did this Elimination Chamber for the Intercontinental Championship. I'm very disappointed and I really do not like it when they do these gimmick pay-per-views. I've said this before for the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Whenever they have these gimmick pay-per-views, it kind of forces them to kind of throw the matches out there and pretty much see what sticks. this Elimination Chamber was a waste, in my opinion. They could have definitely used this Elimination Chamber for something different. Even though we knew that Shayna Baszler was going to win, I at least expected some type of offense, some type of spots. There was like a few times where, they got on top of the cell and everything. But once Shayna Baszler came out, it was pretty much downhill from there. Shayna Baszler came out, tapped out. I didn't even write down the order of the eliminations, but she tapped out Ruby, Natty, and Sarah Logan within a minute, 30 seconds tops. After that, it was, I think it's like 90 seconds to 2 minutes between each pod opening. And so we basically got Shayna Baszler just standing around, gloating, putting up her arms and everything. We had Asuka, pretty much cursing her out in Japanese. I don't know what she was saying, but the way she was talking, you could tell like she was cursing her out, And it was just painfully like bizarre, I have to say, for how much time it was between just watching Shayna Baszler kind of like stand around. That's why I was at least hoping there would be some type of offense. Heck, even have Shayna Baszler come out last for all that and just let her start, tapping people out from there. But the fact once Shayna Baszler came out, we rarely got any type of offense. It's just pretty much sad. So after Shayna Baszler tapped out the other three competitors, Liv Morgan came out. She took a spot where Shayna Baszler swung her into the outside of one of the cells. Kudos to Liv Morgan. She was kind of tearing up a bit during the match. I noticed she was taking a lot of deep breaths. And during the pre-show, Ruby Riott gave a very passionate promo about how she was forgotten last year and she's going to show the world why she deserves to be in the main event of WrestleMania. We all knew that, the one who is going to be main event in WrestleMania was chosen. And I kind of feel a bit bad for the Riot Squad because, they did kind of work hard. They went from basically kind of getting thrown together to really shining as a trio. On, I think it was SmackDown they were all on, or Raw, I forgot which show they all three had started on. She took Liv Morgan, stood in front of Asuka's cell and choked Liv Morgan out. Liv Morgan actually passed out and didn't tap. And then we had a good minute and a half where Asuka was yelling through her cell. Shayna Baszler was standing around. And then Asuka comes out. There was some offense. Asuka tried to go for her Asuka lock. Shayna Baszler rolled out of it, then went for her submission maneuver. Asuka was able to get out. And then, boom, Shayna Baszler got her submission hold on Asuka, and Asuka passed out. And I said that it was one of the worst chamber matches I've ever seen. Definitely women's, but on the top of my head, just one of the worst chamber matches I've ever seen. Normally, whenever you have a chamber match, it's supposed to bring out the intensity out of all the competitors. Now I get they want to show that Shayna Baszler, they want to make her look stronger so that, she seems like a fierce competitor against Becky Lynch. I get that part, but they could have done something they could have done something better for that. I mean, heck, they could have had an Elimination Chamber for who is going to go against Goldberg at WrestleMania. And you could have had Roman Reigns winning that one. But at least it wouldn't have been, it would have been obvious that Roman Reigns was going to win. But at least something where it's not someone just dominating a whole match. It kind of makes it boring. Now, I didn't really mind it at first I really didn't mind, I'll have to say, when Brock Lesnar was dominating part of the Royal Rumble. It was to bring out a storyline, and it was to get the crowd to cheer for Drew McIntyre when he eliminated Brock Lesnar. Shayna Baszler squashing everyone does nothing for anyone. It doesn't help the other competitors. The Riot Squad is still going to be the Riot Squad. Asuka, my poor Asuka, has not been booked properly since she lost to Charlotte way back when at WrestleMania. Overall, this pay-per-view started out really good with the first 3 matches between Daniel Bryan, Drew Gulak, Humberto Andrade. It wasn't as good as their matches, but it still was an okay match, I have to say. And even the tag team Elimination Chamber was pretty good. But after that, it really started to fall off, especially when she got to the women's Elimination Chamber match, unfortunately. But coming back to Raw, Monday night, it was pretty good, I have to say. I just finished watching it. Drew McIntyre killed the spider, so I wonder if anybody is going to report WWE to PETA for, having a man kill a spider with some steel steps. AJ Styles, with his promo, came out of the woodworks, just breaking down the walls, calling The Undertaker by his real name, referencing that Undertaker is married to Michelle McCool, and pretty much the reason why Undertaker is wrestling still is so he can feed Michelle McCool's shopping habits. And a lot of people on Twitter felt as though maybe we will get the American Badass Undertaker, the biker Undertaker. I like Undertaker a lot more than the biker Undertaker, even though it was pretty cool, but to me, when he was American Badass biker Taker, kind of made him lost his mystique that he had when he was the Undertaker. He was pretty much Mark Calloway when he was American Badass, the biker. He was pretty much being himself, whereas though, all these years he had Paul Heyman talking for him, he had that deep voice. I still am a bit shocked of hearing the Undertaker's actual voice. And it's not that deep ass voice that, makes you, get goosebumps when he talks. But yeah, AJ Styles cutting that promo. And apparently there's going to be a contract signing next week. And Pittsburgh versus The Undertaker and AJ Styles. Wonder how that's going to turn out to be. What else did we get tonight? We got a women's tag team match, and it looks like the Riot Squad are going to be on their way, fighting at WrestleMania. What else we had? We had Seth Rollins trying to recruit Aleister Black to join his squad, and Aleister Black said no. Aleister Black then gets beat up, gets jumped. What are we going to do with Aleister Black? Who knows? Then is this, I think his name is Roderick Moss, suddenly is important enough to have 24/7 title matches on TV against, people who were very popular way back when. I mean, he defeated Ricochet, and now he defeated Cedric Alexander. I remember when Cedric Alexander was, kind of the hottest thing going, especially when he was the Cruiserweight Championship. And now he gets 3 minutes on Raw, tonight. Let's see what else I'm missing. Oh, Edge, first of all. Edge returning and giving MVP an RKO. Oh no, he gave MVP an RKO too, but he gave Randy Orton an RKO and then proceeded to bash MVP's head in with the chair, very similar to what Randy Orton did to him as well. And I know I'm missing other things that had happened during Raw tonight, but Raw has really been very good. I'm very impressed, but I really shouldn't be shocked because we are on the road to WrestleMania. So of course Raw is going to be a lot better. So a bit of news starting next week, since we are now officially on the road to WrestleMania, the next pay-per-view event since we have passed Elimination Chamber. It's going to be WrestleMania. Exciting part of the year. This will be the 1-year anniversary, around that time of the Wrestlebread podcast. My birthday is during WrestleMania week, of course. April is always a fun month for me. I love WrestleMania, because it's basically celebrating my birthday and the birth of wrestling, WrestleMania. But yeah, so next week and the coming weeks, I will be reviewing each WrestleMania by the 10s. So next episode 48 next week, I will be going through WrestleMania 1 through 10. Not really going through each match, but I will be pointing out a moment or a match or a storyline that a lot of people forgot. Now, for the first WrestleMania, everyone remembers the tag team match of with Roddy Piper, Hulk Hogan, and Mr. T and Mr. Wonderful. But there are some things that some people may have forgot. For example, that Andre the Giant threw some money out to the crowd. He was going to throw out $15,000 into the crowd, or that Mean Gene Okerlund had sang the national anthem, America the Beautiful. No, I think it was the national anthem, that he sang the national anthem during WrestleMania 1, or that Howard Finkel looked so damn nervous making his introductions as well. Another thing that a lot of people may not have known was that, as I peek at the notes that I had for what I was doing, that there was a WWE versus NFL battle at WrestleMania 2. Or that at WrestleMania 8, for the first time, the WWF Championship was not the main event because of Hulk Hogan. So yeah, I'll be going over little moments like that with every WrestleMania, pointing out either a storyline, an underdog story, or even going over a match that not everyone talks about. So I won't be going over like the best moments of each WrestleMania, but I figured to do like a fun fact, something different, because everyone does top moments of all time of WrestleMania, or overview of the best moments or best feuds at the time, which I sometimes may touch on. Of course, I'm going to talk about The Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania 30, or I may even dip into something else at WrestleMania 30. But I figured to kind of do this as a celebration of WrestleMania as well. I might be looking into something else as well during WrestleMania week, so be sure to tune in to the next episodes, and I might make an announcement. Who knows? So that's it for Wrestlebread Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at Jaydee Talks. That's JAYDEE Talks. And be sure to follow the podcast at Wrestlebread as well. Be sure to let me know your thoughts and your favorite moments of WrestleMania as well. Until next time, guys, peace.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Check us out at Wrestlebread.com and subscribe to Wrestlebread on YouTube for more breaking news and JD's opinions.